Hi Vladimir, how you doing, buddy? Nice to be on your show.
Thanks a lot for coming and for finding time for me because I mean it's the most precious thing that we could have our meeting, and especially because of this technology of internet I was able to meet this person as you on the like I would never ever meet in real life.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. So I don't want to spend time all this introduction stuff because I have few bunch of Russian interviews that you already translated. I put in description of the video, and people, if they like, they would look and all this story you tell them once and once again, where you're from, what you're doing. But the thing is, the main subject, as I said, the process that goes behind the scenes of being born to live and to die consciously. This is the main thing that we do not know about much. So, and you as a professional, and you have to deal with this in your monastery for 25 and more plus years, how to do this consciously, not to lose this connection to our internal witness that we have always with us.
Okay, fantastic question, Vladimir. Beautiful. Give me a second and I'll get that into my head.
No worries.
Okay, pretty much you can start anywhere. So let's begin when someone is about to die. And I'm going to give you an exercise that we do in the mystical monasteries to ensure that when you do die, it is extremely peaceful death. It is totally under your control, and you don't lose consciousness during the death process. So
Fantastic.
when you become reborn into the new baby, you remember you're dying, you remember the death, you remember the period between the death and the new birth, and then at that point, you become reborn as what's called a Rinpoche. And a Rinpoche is basically just someone that can remember previous lives. So this is how you do it. Preferably quite some time before you're going to die, because you need a few months to get good at this. What you do is you will lay yourself on your bed where you are going to die, and you put your body to sleep with a systematic desensitization. By that I mean you put your toes to sleep, you put your feet to sleep, you basically self-hypnosis your body into sleep, but your mind remains wide awake. At that point, you start to use your imagination to get you into an astral state of mind. So then, with the aid, in the beginning, with the aid of a teacher, but you need to be able to do this by yourself eventually, with your eyes closed, you astral into a forest, and you walk down the path of this particular forest. Once you get about, I don't know, 50 meters or 50 yards into the forest, you'll come across this big hole in the ground. And you go down into the hole, down 10 steps, and you'll come out into a room. And this room is thousands of years old. Mystics have been using this room for God knows how many thousands of years. Some mystics use this room for as a mystic's cave. They do all of their magic and sorcery in there. Some people just use it as what's called a death room. So when you go down these steps into this old ancient room, you'll notice that in the floor of that room there is a bath about the size of a grave, but it's not a grave. It's made of stone, and it's a bath, and it's full of hot water. So you lay in the hot water, and you just lay there and close your eyes in that bath, and you relax. And suddenly you'll start to feel the bath water drawing out of you all of the negative things that you've accumulated over your lifetime. And you just lay there and feel this being drawn out of you like a poultice. While you're laying there relaxing, allowing this water to draw the negativity from your body and your mind, at some point, you will feel that the body that you have left behind in the bed has just died. You will feel it. I can't explain it. It's a case of you just feel it. And you know that your body has now died. At that point, you relax a little more. You gain composure. You step out of the bath. You walk back up the stairs where you came down. But when you get to the top, the forest won't be there anymore. What will be there will be your three options of what to do next. When you die, you have three options, always. Everybody does. And you'll be
Wow.
presented with those three options at that moment of death. Should you choose to go on to your next human body, that's a very easy one. You move towards the light. There'll be a little light there. You move towards that. The light is your new mother's vagina, basically. When you go into that light, the first thing you will see will be a nurse. And she'll pull you out and put you on your mother's belly. You'll remember dying because you did it consciously. You'll remember putting your body to bed. You'll remember going into the room of death. You'll remember that you had full total control over that death. You'll remember feeling the body die, and you'll remember the space in between. You'll know when you're in the baby's body, you'll remember, you'll have adult memories of your previous life, but as a baby, you still need to interface with your new brain. So it's still going to take you a year or so to learn how to walk and get used to this new body. That's the
But all the
beginning.
memory is still there.
Pardon me?
All the memory of previous lives, you still there. Your goals, your wishes, all the stuff.
Absolutely, but it's not thoughts anymore because you don't have a brain at that point. Your brain dies with the body. But what you take with you is all of the knowing,
Hmm.
and that knowing isn't getting turned into thoughts anymore because you don't have a brain. Your brain is in the body. So you're functioning from pure knowing. And the beautiful thing as well, Vladimir, is that little portion of universal mind that is in you right now has been in 100 billion other forms before it was in you, before your body came along. And it retains all of the knowing of all of the things it has ever done through all of those other bodies, including alien bodies and transdimensional bodies. Anything that's out there, you have been in there at some point, and you retain all of that knowing. And when you learn to separate from your brain at will and come and go, all of that knowing will start to come into your view, and suddenly you start to know everything that you have ever learned in all of those previous bodies, millions of years worth of knowing and understanding. And that's where the knowledge comes from. It doesn't come from books, it comes from experience, millions and millions of years of experience of
So this
mind.
is the one option that is, as you said. So come towards the light, right?
That's one option.
One option. What's another two options?
Okay, your three options. The first option is the one I just mentioned. You can go into another body, come back and talk to people that way. You can tell people about death. Anyway, there's so many things you can bring back to the world from that place. Your other option would be you can not go towards the light and you can not go back towards the body and you can just stay here, in which case you will be perceived as a spirit or a ghost or something of that nature. And what that does for humanity is the more people that see you hovering around in spiritual form, you have just shown and proven to them that there is something after life, after death. Life does not stop just because your body has come and gone. Life itself does not stop. And you can prove that to people by just being around as a spirit. You can move into rooms and alleviate tension into rooms. You can do all sorts of things when you learn the skills of spirit. But you need to learn these skills before you die. And then once you die, you can make a firm decision. I think I'll just hover around here as spirit and help humanity that way. That's your second option. The third option is you can go into and stay in what's in the astral realm, or the Akashic records is another word for it. In the astral realm, you are part of pure mind, but you still have the knowing of you still have a knowing that you are an entity. You still have the knowing of what you are. You still have the remembrance of all of the things you have been. But what you do there is, because you are so fine and such a subtle form of energy or entity at that point, you can move through people's minds and just drop off a little piece of knowing as you move through. To these people, that would be an enlightened moment. It would be an epiphany. They won't know you've come and gone. That's not how it is. I'll give you an example. Let's say Albert Einstein is sitting on the toilet having a poo. There's a good picture for you. So Einstein's sitting there having a poo. He's thinking to himself, E equals MC, meh, E equals MC. At that point, you have the ability to waft through his mind and just drop off that last little piece. MC squared. Einstein has his poo. He goes, I've got it, mein Gott. And he's got E equals MC squared. But you had a little part to do in that. You dropped the last little piece off for him. That's an example, a hypothetical example, but that's your third option of helping humanity and serving life that way. Everyone has those three options. Everyone has the ability to do these things.
So
Everybody has spirit and enlightenment in them. Everybody.
everyone has three options, but basically 99.9 people percent goes through this path of being born again, but unconsciously.
Yeah.
Basically, they do not remember all these stages because it's a total horror for them, fear and agony.
Your
So
education separates you from these possibilities. Your education educates you to think that you are a tiny little fragment, an individual piece of life that has no connection to anything else. In fact, you are educated to compete with anyone and everything else in life for work, for money, for partnership, for everything. You have to compete. And that, I mean, you're competing with yourself. It's ridiculous.
yeah, and what does the? I mean, the main thing is that is there any? Okay, I was listened audiobook, Tibetan book of that, right?
Yeah.
About 2 times, but the information in there is not really would fit into the European mind. Let's say someone of my relatives, friends, neighbor die, and I want to step in and help him. So, is there any guidance? Is there any information that I would, as you did, for instance, when you were a monk, you were having this service, sitting with that person and talk to him 3 days. But even you said that in one of your interview that it takes up until from 3 to 14 days when we feel totally die.
It can
So,
do, yes.
so is there any information or guidance how to do it? Like, let's say for me, I want to help this. Of course, helping others, I would be very prepared to help myself as well when the time comes. So, but is there any way to learn how to help person in this time? Because I'm sure, as you said, there would be plenty of like this, occasions when you help your priceless knowledge would be very, very dear.
Someone who is laying on their bed and they've already died is what the Tibetan Book of the Dead is for. And what you would do, it's normal to spend a whole year over there if you are a monk. You spend 1 year reading the Tibetan Book of the Dead to people who have died. That's your job. That's just you getting used to being. That's getting a young monk used to death, because it's quite scary for young monks that don't have any understanding at that point. So I spent a year doing that, and basically all you do is you because you know they can still hear you, not the body. You're not talking to the body. You're talking to the mind that is in that body. The body's dead, which means the ear drums aren't working. They're not sending electrical signals to the brain anymore. So the brain's not hearing you. What's hearing you is the mind that is slowly leaching away from the brain. So to stop them from falling unconscious, you talk to them for 3 days solid. You say, you remember me. I am the monk. I'm from the hill, the monastery up on the hill. I helped your family a year ago. This is who I am. I'm talking to you. All you need to know right now is you have died. Your body has died, but you don't need to worry. You can hear me, which means you personally in there have not died. What you may be feeling right now, because you've been dead for about 12 hours, you'll be starting to see a lot of yellow in your mind. The reason you're seeing yellow is because your liver is starting to close down, and that's where the color is coming from. soon after the yellow, you'll start to see another color, and that color just represents that your kidneys are closing down. This is going to take about 3 days, but don't worry, I'll be sitting here through the whole process with you until I am confident that you have left completely, spiritually, mentally, and mind-wise. And then you just keep talking. You don't let them float off. You just keep them there. And then when the whole process of the spirit leaching out of the body has finished, you are no longer needed. And that's a process. You don't usually do that for someone who knows about these things already, because they would have already done the work and they don't need you. We're talking about scared peasant people, scared lay people, people that just work all their lives. They haven't been well educated. They don't know what's going to happen at death. So you do it for them. But for your average person that knows, your average mystic that knows what they're doing, you've already practiced dying many, many times. And this is where the confidence comes from, to be able to talk about death
So
eventually.
that meditation that you were explaining before that, when how often it should be done before the sleep? Like it could be done every time before you go to sleep or before
Yeah,
you.
get good at it. Just get good at it. What you need to do in the beginning, and what I just told you, the story I gave you to go down into the hole and into the bath, that was a very, very quick description of how it goes. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more to it, but it would take me 2 hours to explain it properly. Um, when you start to do this practice, you start to go to that room on a regular basis, but not to die. You go to that room as often as you can, and when you're in that room, you might put a mirror in there and have a look at what you look like without a body. You might do some magic in there. You use it as your magician's cave, your sorcerer's cave, your mystic's cave, whatever you want to call it. Westerners, the closest thing Westerners have is what's called a memory palace. You design a palace in your head and you build a library in there, and you have places where you can go inwards. And it's a memory thing. You can have a room full of memories, like a library in your palace in there. And when you go in there, you can pick books off and you can read them. You can have music playing in the hallways. You can have a magic room. You can have a laboratory in there. This is your astral place. This is where you learn to do things in your mind and in the astral realm, fully knowing that it's going to have effects on the physical realm as soon as you finish doing it. So you can go to this cave. This cave is your memory palace. You go in there every day. You get better and better at it, stronger and stronger, more and more clear and vivid. And when you're in there, you start planning and building things. And you'll notice that once you start to build things and plan things in that space, when you come out of your trance and you come back into this world, you'll notice that things have changed in this world, because you've gone into your astral magical place and you've done some work, and it changes things down here. So by the time you've done that for a few years and you've gotten really, really good at it, and then one day you realize that you're dying, and you're probably going to die in the next 2 days, hypothetically, you would go and lay down and you would go to that place. You would say goodbye to everyone if you've got any friends and family, and you would go to your mystic's cave and you would prepare yourself, put everything in place, because you probably will come back to it. And then when it's time, when you feel it's ready, you lay down in that bath and you wait for your physical body to die. And then you move on to your next life. Well, next life is the wrong words. The next chapter of your life.
But is there any way to see that this, like, bright light or whatever, like as you say, vision of your mother, that you're gonna be born, is your someone from your kin, from your close family? Let's say you wanna be born in your family again, just to help them further on the path, like on the correct path. Is there any way to see that this is something like some of your close relatives gonna be born, and you're gonna be born in your relative's family.
No, you can't choose who you're going to come out into. You can't choose the next body, because it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we are all ice cubes from the same liter of water.
I'm just curious, but basically, what you explain of the line and creating this, like go inside you, creating the library, and so basically, this is the similar technique as the lucid dreams, like the technique that people now. I'm actually remembering now to started to use again this technique when you go consciously into your dream. Basically, when you going into your dream without losing conscience, now you realize that you are dreaming, but you're aware, you're conscious. You look at your hands could look differently, like sometimes even spooky, but anyway, you understand. You understand like that you are dreaming, and now in your dream you can create and do and go wherever you want. You can go as well,
Absolutely.
as you say, into that forest, go into that cave, do meditation, meet like anyone you want, like, it's amazing. And
It
this
is.
technology basically was used by yogas for thousands of years.
That's
And
who
do you
taught
know?
me. That's
Yeah.
how I learned from that. Yes.
And for
What
you.
I do with it is,
Uh-huh.
I have a handful of students that have been with me for, gosh, over 20 years. And
Wow.
we all go to the same cave and we all meet and we have meetings there. And that lets you know that it's not just a lucid dream, it's not imagination. You've actually gone there and you've spoken to your students and you've spoken to friends. And then when
Wow.
you all come back into this realm, you can call them up and finish the conversation off. It's you have to prove it. All of this stuff falls into the realm of stupidity and belief if you don't approach it with scientific methodology. You have to set yourself up to prove that you're not full of shit. You've got to set yourself up to prove that you actually went there. If you do an astral journey, the first thing you do is you prove it. You go to a friend's house, you have a look at what's on their kitchen table. You come back home, you pick up your phone, you ring up your friend, and you say, "Do you have a packet of cornflakes on your table right now?" And they'll go, "Yeah." "Are you looking through my window?" And you go, "No, no, I
Wow.
you just tell them whatever it is you're going to tell them. And this is how you prove that you did it. You've got to prove you did it. Otherwise, you don't know if you're full of shit or not. And when it comes time to die for real, you won't know if you've actually really ever done that or if it's going to work, and you'll die confused. So when you do these exercises, if you're not putting that scientific element of proof into what you're doing, prove it to yourself, not to other people. You've got to prove to yourself that you're not imagining this. Once you've got that proof, then your brain will stop fighting you. Your brain will just take you where you tell it to.
Absolutely, it's all about focus. That's. I mean, currently I'm using Kriya Yoga, right? This technology that brought to the humanity by Babaji,
Yep.
this Maha Avatar, and Easy exists exactly as you explained in that realm, because he can manifest to some of the people even now, and he can take for the manifestation. I mean, there is some witnesses that explain he for the manifestation he would take like any human body, like even body of the person of the women or men, and
Mm.
to manifest and meet their pupils in reality by talking to them in this way, and then this just disappear.
Yeah.
So is he staying in that realm for, because that they saying that he proved that he gonna be staying in that realm until the last person in this reality will step on a path, so-called enlightenment. But
Mm.
this is the different subject that we can talk about. Because I mean, I don't know, enlightenment, what's your opinion about that? Because most of the people staying and thinking, okay, I'm gonna be enlightenment and I will never come back. Okay, this is the, for me, opinion of the egoistic mind. What do you mean you never come back? You live in your people, you live in your kind, your kids, everyone you live in, and you never come back. Why not? Just come back better than you are now, and just help them. That's, I mean, what's the enlightenment? Okay, if you if God or whoever the universe decide that okay, you've done everything, you will be staying in another realm for sure. But at this moment, there is no point for you to plan immediately go out and never come back. So you have to first learn this wonderful process of consciously going through these processes and helping as much as you can, because once you learn more you can share it. It's a beautiful thing to share with your loved ones what
Mm.
you've got. Like, not everyone has the mind and options to learn and to meet, for instance, so like person like you and get like information from first hand.
Yeah, people do have the options, but they don't take the option. If you want to be a world-class brain surgeon, you're going to forget the drugs and the sex and the rock and roll. You're going to forget going, doing all of these silly things. Until you become a brain surgeon, you are going to be focused. You're going to work. You're going to study 7 days a week. You're not going to get drunk every night. You're not going to take drugs every night. You're not going to wreck your brain. You want to be a brain surgeon, and you know what you have to do. You'll spend 5 to 10 years on that track, and eventually you'll become a brain surgeon, and then you can start playing with life. If you want to be a plumber, it's the same thing. If you want to be any kind of a professional, anything, you've got to focus. Doing it for 1 hour a night isn't going to cut it. You're not going to become a brain surgeon. Doing it once a week, you're not going to become a brain surgeon. That's stupidity. And if you want to be an absolute self-mastered human being, that is probably the hardest, most difficult career move you're ever going to make as a human unit.
Absolutely.
People think, oh, yeah, I meditate for an hour a day, I'm going to become enlightened. Go away.
That's why.
You either be it or you don't. There's nothing wrong with having an interest, as long as you know that it's a hobby for you. And meditating for an hour a day will do wonderful things for you. It'll make you healthier and happier. Your heart will get a rest, your mind will get a rest, and it will clear
Yeah.
your mind and everything else. But it's not going to bring you PK possibilities. It's not going to give you spiritual skills. You've got to put focus into it, put your life into it if you want to be it. If you want to be anything, you've got to put your life into it and become it. And this is it. And this is what you have to do. And I don't know how I got onto that rave, because I forgot what you asked me. But anyway.
Well, I mean, that's what they says. If not this technology, I would never ever meet a person like you who have a very interest, from my point of view. Like, I wanted to call
Ah,
you dear,
this is
dear
what
master,
this is what I
because
was
you
getting at.
have this deal knowledge and an experience that we all need.
This is how I did it. Really easy. My life, this is how I was thinking as a very young man. Well, this life is quite shit. This is horrible. I'm not having a good life. I'm constantly scared. I'm constantly worried. The worst part of my day is when my father's coming home from work. I spend all my day fearing 5:30 in the afternoon, because my father was coming home, and I knew what was going to happen when that happened. So that was a horrible way to live. Wasn't interested. Needed to know what it was all about. Started looking at books and watching things, and I started to see that there was monks. To be honest, there was a show way back called I think it was just called Kung Fu, and there was a guy called David Carradine was the actor, and it was about a monk who brought Shaolin wisdom back to the West. I think it was in the 70s. It was really old, and I thought, wow. So I started looking into that. So Hollywood is responsible for me, by the way. So I started looking into that, and then I obviously came across enlightenment, warrior monks, and all of these kind of things. Oh, really? That's a possibility? Okay, how does that happen? How do I get to that? Well, you need to find a school or a teacher or a religion that consistently creates enlightened, self-mastered people. Okay, that sounds easy. I started with religion. Are there any religions in this world that constantly produce enlightened people? No, there isn't. Okay, forget that. Are there any teachings that constantly produce enlightened people? Yes, there are. There's two or three of them, actually. Cool. We'll look at those later. Are there any schools that produce enlightened people on a constant basis? One or two. Yes, one or two, but they're hard to come by. So all up, there was 5 places in the world where you can actually go and learn this stuff. I found one. And that's how you got to do it. If you don't have the balls to go out into the world and you goddamn hunt this thing down, this teaching of self-mastery, you hunt it down, you find it. Don't go listening to shitheads on YouTube that are just full of theories, and then they sell their theories off like they've experienced them personally, because they haven't. Go out there and find it. Experience it. You'll know when you've got the right thing. You'll be surrounded in extraordinary people when you find the right place. Otherwise, everything that we're talking about, everything that makes up a human being, everything that makes up what we call being alive is in between your ears already. And all you got to do is figure out how to go in there and start sifting through it all. What's the first thing a baby does when you give it a clock? Whoo, pulls the clock apart, see how the clock works. It never goes back together again. You've probably done it yourself. You pull all the shit out the back of the clock to see how it works. Same thing. You go inside, you pull out that same curiosity that you had as that baby, and you start working out what you are in there. You close your eyes. What's the first thing you see? Oh, chattering, chattering, chattering. Okay, is that me? No. I'm in here watching the chattering mind. So if I'm watching it, then what I'm watching isn't me. I am something that is watching it. So forget the thoughts. That's not me. And you go in there and you just start negating things that aren't you. Eventually, you're going to end up with you. If you negate everything you are aware of, eventually you end up at awareness, and you found yourself. Enlightenment ensues at that moment. What is enlightenment? All of the knowing from all of those things that you have been over millions of years pours into your brain, and suddenly you just know it all. That's enlightenment.
Fantastic.
Groovy stuff.
And then that's, as I see around, like, most of the people, I mean, I'm working for like in a IT company, supporting people, and all colleagues around me, okay, they know my like hobby. I'm very much into the yoga, because every time at work when everybody goes to eat something, I'm sitting and I'm having 45 minutes of meditation. There is a there is a nice place. No one is going there. I was sitting to the east, and that's it. That's my time when I get shot. But this is not enough for me. I in my mind I create, as I call it, like a mode or regime of service, which means I have to wake up at 3:40 at the morning time.
I know the practice.
3:45, I'm sitting in a meditation, and I meditate before I go to work. And it's amazing because it's enough. And then, of course, you have to go to sleep after 10 o'clock. And it's pretty much enough time for you for hours. You don't want to sleep, because you are waking up. You've gotten all this, excitement without any reason, because you're connecting to the eternity. For Christ's sake, it's inside you. It's amazing to realize that everything that you touch, feel, it's manifested by that eternity. It always was, is, and will be. And that's what this very moment I would when I was looking to your interviews, I was thinking, wow, this is the knowledge I would like to get, the person who can tell me from his first experience in hand how to do this consciously, to pass into all those most important, as you said, there is 2 dates, the most important days in human life. They are engraved on your stone when you die, the day you born and the day you live. So these 2 more important days in your life that you have to learn about. But people so fearful, they living in so despair in survival, that they afraid to talk about this. And if you start to talk to someone who's not prepared, he thinks you're some kind of lunatic, They're afraid because I understand that, because in their minds it's blocked, because for them to die is a total fear, despair, and But we have to change it, because we have to learn and we have to share with the people. And I'm happy that personality like you can share this knowledge with many people, and of course I will do as well my part. But it's amazing. But it's very hard because we are plugged into this matrix, and this like encoded in our neuron systems, and it's very hard to change that. Because I can see when I waking up at 3:40, I can see immediately my mind started to protest. Like he started, yeah, he started to convince me, okay, that's fine. Maybe you're just lying down and sleep for, you have to a few more hours to sleep before you go to work. And I just relaxed and okay, fine. No, this is the way I decided to do. But this is okay. When I've done this already for 7 or 6 times, it's amazing but still, when I waking up at 3 o'clock, my mind could be protesting, even though I know that everything will go perfectly. You meditating, you go to work, you working. I'm even working overtime for whole week. No tiredness and happiness around you. You just going and you became like thankful and proud of that you can do it.
Yeah.
It's something gives you power to do and to stay on this path. But it's not enough. I wanted to learn how to like when you go to sleep, you can go into conscious dream. And in that conscious dream, you can learn and stay and meditate as long as you want while your body is sleeping. So basically, you're still in time from this matrix that's sucking out your energy.
If you make your every minute of your waking life while you're at work, if you make that your meditation, that's the next step.
Absolutely. There is not more important thing that it needs to be done like this.
No, that's it.
Because, we never know how, as the Dalai Lama says, you never know what's going to be next day or next life.
Yeah. When I was living with the Dalai Lama for a little while, and I remember one time we were all going to go out and meditate, and there was about 10 of us. The Dalai Lama was with us, and we were walking out into the gardens, and the sun was going down, and there was a full moon coming up, and the Dalai Lama turned around to us. He goes, oh, he's got a very deep voice. He goes, oh, I don't think I'll be meditating today. And we kind of, really? Why? What's the matter? He goes, oh, sometimes the mind, it just won't shut up. And he goes, on those days, you do something else. And I took that on board and I left as well. So some days, particularly on a full moon, the brain just won't shut up. Back then.
I saw his last video when they basically, when I was researching this like subject more, that there is a phenomenon called Tukdam.
Mm-hmm.
Tukdam, this is the post-death meditation, when the body is not decomposing for a week, for 2 weeks. Even some monk from Rinpoche was asking his pupils to dig up his body after 79 years, and it's still not decomposed. So, but he's saying that it was like information in that video was that in this way the death is conquered. But can you explain what's the point to leave your body intact for so long time? For a week, for 2, for 3, for 5 weeks?
No point at all. Did you see it?
Is that meditation? Where are they at that time? When you leave your body for 79 years, for instance, in a grave, and where are you now? I mean, maybe you already in your life, or
after 70 odd years, he's probably already an old man in another body.
Yeah.
Or an old woman in another body. It's if the body was not decaying, all that means is that, let me back up a little bit. We all have 2 kilos of bacteria sitting in our intestines. That's your 2 kilos of death. We all have it. And that's what digests your food. The moment you stop producing electrical impulses, those bacteria determine that you're dead now, and they will eat you. That's why you rot so quickly after you've died. You rot from the inside out, not from the outside in. So the bacteria, that 2 kilos of bacteria you have in your stomach right now, in your intestines, I should say, is a 2 kilo chunk of death just sitting there waiting for you. And it will eat you when you die. But right now, it's helping you out by eating your food for you. So that's in there. So if that person had done certain exercises that had killed all of that bacteria, which you can do with your mind, killed all the bacteria in that body, the body won't decay, not from the inside out. And if the conditions are dry enough on the outside, it will stay mummified. It's just physics. It can be done. But it won't happen if you haven't done some kind of mental work in your life. But that's basically all that is. Once you leave your brain, you don't take your ego with you. Once you leave your brain, your thoughts die. So when you leave your brain, you don't think. When you're astral journeying, you're not thinking. You can't. You don't have a brain. It's back there in the body somewhere. You're using your knowing. When you leave your body and you don't take your ego with you, you have no hatred, you have no problems, you have no fear or racism or any of that. That's all in the brain. That's ego shit. That's all gone. That's not with you. You're just full of love and happiness and joy. You don't give a shit whether your body stays intact or not. You don't give a shit whether your body's rotting or not. You're alive now. You're doing other stuff. All of these theories and all of this bullshit comes from people that are still alive, people who are guessing. That's all that comes from. Once again, if you're going to be a mystic, you get rid of all that bullshit guesswork, get some balls and do it and find out for yourself. If you don't have balls, you'll never become a mystic. And when I say balls, I mean courage. If you don't have courage, you'll never do it. You'll never leave your comfortability. You'll never leave your comfort zone. You'll never leave what you are used to. You'll never overcome your fear.
So, but that methodology of Tukdam looks like it's quite different from the method of meditation when there is only some nails and hair left from the person's body. You know, when there is another technique that monks using to prepare himself to. At some point, they tell to everyone, to his friends, to the other monks that he's going to do this process, and they left him in the room for 7 days, or for he and then after that his body became like a rainbow in one time, and there's only nails and hair left. It's quite different from the top down. So it's some kind of higher level of meditation, or what is it?
There's no higher or lower level of meditation. There's just meditation. There are 100 million things you can do with your mind if you train it. I know a woman who hasn't eaten in over 35 years. She's what's called an Aryan, not a Nazi type Aryan, but an Aryan who lives on air. And she lives in a cave, very nice cave. Doesn't look much different to this actually. Every now and then she will scrape some minerals off of a stone, and she will drink that with some dew water. But that's it. And she just lives on air. She's trained herself to be able to do that. However, she can't do anything else. She can't walk more than 5 meters away from her cave. She just doesn't have the energy. She can't. She doesn't do kung fu or anything like that. She just is. She lives like a tree, basically. But that's, if you want to do that, there's so many things you can do with your mind. There's nothing that you have to do in life. Just explore it. You have the privilege of life living through and understanding itself through you. All you have to do is stay alive and be conscious, and life does the rest.
Yeah, that knowledge, get that experience. I mean, everyone. I mean, this, as I said, witness internal, right? He's having experience in everyone's body, and all those experiences always in one place, and
That's
everyone
normal.
could have access to that experience, to that knowledge, and it's amazing. It's always there, always will be there.
Yeah.
But
You have to be in that state of mind permanently for that to start seeping in. So that knowing of millions of years, when it starts to come into your brain will turn the knowing into pictures. You see, knowing is invisible. You just know something. You know stuff, but you don't have to think it. You know you love somebody. You don't need to think. You know when you love. You know things. But the brain of the monkey that we live in can't get its head around invisible stuff. So when knowing comes into the brain will turn it into a picture. And this is what we call thinking. It's second-hand information thinking. Knowing is first-hand, thinking is second-hand. Knowing is pure. You can't muck around with pure knowing. You can't twist it. You can't do anything with it. It is pure knowing. Once your knowing gets turned into a thought, that's different. Once you've got a thought, your brain can change the shape of the thought. It can add things to that thought. It can add opinions and judgments. Before knowing turns into a thought, it's just knowing. Once it turns into a thought, your brain can then turn it into a good thought or a bad thought. It can change its color. It can warp it and twist it and stretch it and give it another time scale. So it's turned into absolute shit the moment you think it. So the way to get to absolute knowledge and knowing is to bypass the middleman, get above your thought process, and start living life from pure knowing. And that is so much better, so much more pure, and it is real, and it is truthful, and it can't be tampered with by the brain.
But I remember this one documentary when the llama, I mean, they exactly know where they're gonna be next. They go and looking for that child that's gonna be llama, gonna be born.
Yes, yes.
But that child, as you say, he's born, but his brain, as you say, is clean. He doesn't remember detail. He have to remember only how to. I mean, his previous lives, but he doesn't remember in detail now. But is it they using the same technique to be born again consciously? But you still don't remember in detail your previous life. You only
Sometimes
remember when you touch something, when you see something from your previous life and say, "Oh, okay, I know that."
I have memories of 3 lives, including this one. So 2 previous lives and this one.
Wow.
And I was tested. So they test you. Once again, it's very scientific. If a reborn spirit in a child is untouched and no one goes looking for him or her, by the time they're about 8 or 9 years old, they will start having memories of their previous life. You can't stop it. It happens. There are so many documentaries
The
now that
pictures comes in,
scientists.
right?
Sorry.
The pictures comes in
The
from the
pictures, the memories come in. When I was 9 years old, I had memories that were adult memories, and became obvious to me that they can't be my memories because I'm not an adult. And it starts like that. So that's if you don't have anyone looking for you, you will start to remember. If you come from a tradition like the Tibetan traditions, they will start looking for you. If you are an enlightened teacher, they already know you're going to be a Rinpoche. So when you die, they immediately start looking for you straight away. And they might find you by the time you're 4 or 5 years old. You might not be having memories, but what they will do is they will encourage those memories to come to the forefront of this child. They will take you into the room where the previous teacher that you used to be lived. And they won't say, "Oh, this is your old room." They won't say that. They'll just take you into the room and they'll pour a cup of tea and they'll watch the child, and the child will look around and start to say things like, "Wow, this is familiar. Is that my hat over there?" And the child would say, there'd be 10 hats hanging off the wall, and the child would go, "Is that my hat over there?" And it'll be his hat, and he'll take the hat. And there'll be half a dozen bowls, rice bowls. One of them would have belonged to the previous teacher. And the child will go, "Oh, this is my bowl." They might say something like, "Oh, I think my false teeth are over there in that cabinet." And they'll go and have a look, and sure enough, there'll be some wooden false teeth in there. And this is how you prove it. So, as a Rinpoche that belongs to a monastery or a tradition, the moment you die, your brethren will start to look for you and bring you back. If you don't have that liberty of having someone out there looking for you, you will eventually remember it yourself, and you will find your way back. It happens all the time.
So if it's not a secret, what is your plan for these three options? What are you gonna
Oh, I
do?
don't have any plans. I
I
just
mean,
do stuff. I don't know
what
what
are
I'm going
those
to do.
options you're gonna choose when the time comes?
I have no idea. I don't care.
You do not think about it.
Doesn't
Whatever.
matter. Life lives through me. It's not the other way around. I'll see what life does with me. This life isn't my life. It's not your life either. We don't have the right to end these lives. It is life. I have the privilege of life unfolding through me. And I'm just,
Absolutely, yeah.
life is the miracle. I'm not the miracle. Life is the miracle. And I have a privilege of having it being in me right now. And I'm spending this lifetime in this body watching it and allowing it to do whatever it can do through me. That's all there is to it. I have no idea what's going to happen when I die. I might not die. You can't die at the end of the day. Ultimately, it's not possible to die.
Yeah, yeah.
Bodies come and go, waves on the ocean come and go, but the ocean itself does not move one little bit, if that makes any sense.
Fantastic. So we spend our time, hour is gone. And on these notes, I wanted again, I mean, my English is too poor to express this
You've got
gratitude.
good English, Vladimir. I understand you very well, my friend. You're doing great.
Thank you. But what I'm saying that I can't express my, like, I mean, I'm so happy that you agreed to have a time and to spend and to give this priceless knowledge.
Anytime, buddy, anytime.
And
You've
if
got some good questions. I like talking to you. Let's do it again.
that would be fantastic if we would have some kind of very specific record of the if you when you can talk and guide to do the guided meditation, even that meditation that you were saying. So let's say for 20 minutes, for 40 minutes, or in more detail, that would be fantastic.
All right, let's do that. We'll take someone on a death journey.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely my pleasure, Vladimir. It was fun.
I would be great. I would be very grateful to meet you again, and of course, all my like subscribers will be happy to hear you again, to hear your experience. I hope may force of love be with you in all dimensions and love.
Oh, thank you. I love you too, buddy. You're a cool man. Hey,
See you.
when I will be going to the Ukraine next year sometime. So if you are there, perhaps we can go and do lunch, you and I.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, I would gladly meet you in Portugal better. I know I do not advise you to go into Ukraine, but you never know. So
Okay, Portugal. Haven't
Portugal,
thought of
yeah.
Portugal, but you never know.
I would gladly meet you, and that would be fantastic.
Okay, buddy. Thank you for everything. You have a wonderful rest of your day. It's been great to meet you. Thank you, everyone that's listening to this, by the way. Love you all. Love everybody. Have a great day.
Have a great one. See ya.
Bye-bye.